Welcome to Uncontained, episode 125. I'm your host, Aaron Static Render. On the show today, I speak to a young magician, Aaron O'Brien. He's been performing at the Magic Castle since around the age of 13, which, for those of you who don't know the Magic Castle, that's about the youngest you can join the Magic Castle in their juniors program. Now he's 19 years old and has performed for the likes of Cameron Diaz and multiple other celebrities that show up at the Magic Castle, along with doing corporate events. We talk all about that. I found this episode really interesting, especially because I don't speak with a lot of magicians, and Aaron's magic style is magic mixed with some aspects of stand-up comedy, so it'll be interesting for you to check out as well. Listen to this episode, and Aaron has some great business advice for people, which I may steal some of the advice myself. So that's all coming up with Aaron O'Brien on Uncontained. How's it going today, Aaron?
I'm doing fantastic, Aaron. This is fun. It just feels like we're talking to ourselves, you know? I love it.
I know. Too many Aarons, and we need to, maybe throw in another Aaron and really get confusing. So, thank you for joining me, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's impressive. You are only the second magician that I've had on my show in this 125 episodes.
Wow. Who was the other magician?
It was Eric the Red Magician.
Oh, okay.
So, check him out. He's back probably about 40 episodes or so. So you can look through the vast database of uncontained episodes and check him out if you want to get a little magician on magician listening going. So
That's okay.
So we were talking a little bit earlier, and in research, I found out you did the Magic Castle starting at the age of 13.
Yeah, so I started performing magic at the Magic Castle at the age of 13. I kind of, as a kid, I loved magic. When I was about 5 years old, I got my very first magic kit. And then when I turned 12, I saw a magician at a middle school lock-in that I was at. And he did this amazing trick where he takes a quarter, bites the quarter, and then restores it. And to me, I thought, that's literally the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I was like, I want to do that. So let me tell you, folks, persistence wins. So I followed him around the entire time until he told me how to do the magic trick. And then from there, I learned my very first magic trick. I went online, started learning stuff on YouTube, then started reading books, and then just kind of did card tricks, got to go to the Magic Castle when I was 12. And then at the age of 13, I auditioned there, which is the youngest you can audition, got accepted, became a member. And then at about 15 years old, I started performing there professionally.
Okay.
That's been about 4 years now. So I've been a member for 6 years. So it's a pretty crazy road. It's pretty sweet.
Right on, man. So you said you kind of started doing magic in junior high, middle school. So
yeah.
So it didn't take you long to get into the Magic Castle club?
Yeah, so it's the thing that I'm in technically is called like a junior program. And yeah, it took me, I had only been doing magic about a year, which is extremely not typical for people to get in because it's some of you may know, and you may know, Aaron, that the Magic Castle is very, very hard to get into, and the adult program is actually harder to get into than the junior program is. Okay. But the thing is, they focus really heavily on skill. But one of the most important things that they focus on is having a great personality. So having, a personality and really being able to connect to an audience and being a actual performer and not just somebody who does card tricks. So yeah, it was, I got in on my first try on they have auditions every, if you don't get in, you have to wait 6 months to audition again. So it's kind of like, don't mess it up or else you got screwed. But yeah, I had been just doing tricks for my friends and stuff, and then started working with them, and then at about 15 performed at the Magic Castle, and then started doing shows on my own, getting hired for a lot of events and things like that.
Okay, very cool, man. Very cool. So for people who don't know what the Magic Castle, me, myself, I've never been.
Yeah.
I'm up in the Bay Area, but maybe when I get down to LA next, I'll have to check it out. But
Yeah,
what exactly is the Magic Castle for people who might be thinking, is that something to do with Disney?
No, no, it has nothing to do with Disney. So essentially, what the Magic Castle is the Magic Castle was started by two brothers who love magic, and they wanted to create a clubhouse for magicians to come hang out, perform, almost like a haven where they can come. And it's become world renowned now. And essentially, what it is it is a club. So it is by invite only. So you have to be invited by a member of the club. And we have two types of members. There are magician members, and there are also associate members. A magician member is somebody who's studied, practiced, and has auditioned to become a magician member.
Okay.
And an associate member is just somebody who pays a lot of money and wants to be part of an exclusive club. So but basically what it is there are different showrooms. There is a close-up gallery, which is an intimate room where they perform just really sophisticated close-up magic. Then it seats about 15 to 20 people. Then there's a middle-sized room, which seats about 40 to 50, and that's more of like a medium-sized show. And then they have a big theater showroom where they do sometimes a lot of illusions, there's fire, sometimes animals, all kinds of different things. So essentially the club is a hub for magicians to come hang out in. They have literally bars everywhere, so that's always fun when you're performing for sometimes drunk people. That can be very fun and very different. But it's just a bunch of different showrooms that magicians are performing in, and a lot of famous people go. In fact, I believe Johnny Depp is a member, actually, just because
Really?
Yeah, he's an associate member there. I mean, I've run into Jack Black recently. I've personally got to perform for Cameron Diaz over there, and a bunch of other celebrities. So it's a exclusive place that you can go in, and you can't take photos, which is why a lot of celebrities go, because they can escape the paparazzi, escape a huge amount of publicity. So yeah, it's kind of, you go into a show, then you might eat dinner, then you go see some more shows, and it's just a really, it's like I say, it's hard to put into words because it's this amazing experience. As a magician, it's kind of like Disneyland, or the first time you ever went, where you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's just it's everything that you thought of plus 1,000 times more. If you talk to any magician, they'll always tell you, oh my gosh, the Magic Castle, it's so amazing, it's so cool. We love it so much. So
Very cool, man. So you were saying that a normal person just couldn't go, hey, I want to go to the Magic Castle. You have to be a member to go watch magic?
yeah, so you either have to be a member or you have to be invited by a member. So as a magician member, I get guest passes that I can give out to people. So typically I give them out to many of my clients, or occasionally if there's a agent or event planner that I'm looking to work with, I'll send them a pass or have them come on a day that I'm performing so that they can come see me. So if you walked up to the door and you said, hey, I want to come in, they'd say, I'm sorry, you have to have an invite. The other cool thing about it is it's one of the only places left in the world that you have to dress up to go to. So in the evening, it's evening wear. So you have to wear a suit, a tie, dress shoes. And then for the ladies, it's like dresses or just really nice evening wear, which is super cool because you don't see people get dressed up a lot.
Yeah.
I absolutely love being able to see that, and it's really, really fun. So yeah, it's an exclusive club that is by invite only, or if you're a member. So it's basically, essentially, we say it's for the members and their guests.
Okay, very cool, man. So, yeah, I do remember that about the Magic Castle, seeing it on like a TV show. I think it was actually featured in a Judd Apatow series that was made for Netflix just recently called Love. One of the first episodes. I just vaguely remember that. But yeah, I've only seen the Magic Castle on television. I'm not cool enough yet to get in.
Well, when you're in the area, we'll have to get you out, Aaron.
All right, I'll be like, I know Aaron O'Brien. He's a magician.
And they'll be like, come right in. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Be like, well, those are the magic words. I'm like, I thought they were abracadabra.
Well, that's so funny you'd say that. They actually, one of the really cool parts, I won't give it away all of it, but there is a secret password to actually get into the Magic Castle. So when you walk in the lobby, there is a password that you have to say, and then a door there's like, when you go in, it does not look like there are any doors, but a door appears and opens. And let me tell you, when I saw that, my jaw hit the floor. I mean, it was incredible, because I thought, like, that is like that's how I want my house to be, one day.
Yeah, no kidding. And is it Open Sesame?
It is actually. I'm happy that you know that. So listeners out there, if you're walking up, just say "Open Sesame."
Yeah, and then like abracadabra, shazam, pow.
Well, that's what I thought because somebody said, "Oh, it's a magic word," and I went abracadabra, and nothing happened.
And then like a genie appears and is like amateur, pow.
Well, and then the members I was with, they were like, "Oh no, this is the word." And it's funny, the members who asked me to come with them when they just saw me kind of doing magic tricks around, just around town and with some friends, and they invited me. But they are actually descendants of the great Howard Thurston. So they are, and these are people that I've known my entire life, and I have no idea that these people are involved in this world. So they invite me, and they're huge. They're not huge at the Magic Castle, but their last name is super, super well known. And the couple who invited me, her brother is a professional magician named Frank Thurston, and he does a ton of magic in the fair market. That's his main market, and he is the best fair guy out there. So Frank, if you're listening, you're welcome. But also, thank you for everything you did for me. He was the very first show I ever saw at the Magic Castle, and to this day, we're great friends. And it's cool because as a young guy, it's kind of hard to break into the market sometimes, and it's kind of seen as like, oh, this young magician, how is he doing corporate and all that kind of stuff. But older magicians, they love the young generation, they respect us. And instead of it being like, him being my mentor, things. It's more like we're colleagues now, which is really cool that I get to be colleagues with, some people that are extremely well known and that are extremely prominent in the magic community. So it's absolutely amazing.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome how that relationship kind of came about.
Yeah.
So let's take it back one second here. Like when you were talking about some of the people you performed for.
Yeah.
You talked about Johnny Depp being there.
Yep.
Personally performing for Cameron Diaz.
Yes.
There has to be some stories there, man.
There was. and the funniest part is I didn't know it was her. So I'm performing in the close-up gallery, which is one of their close-up rooms, and I'm doing my show on a Saturday brunch. And so I have this in my show, and I think in life, I have a really good personality where I'm just very sarcastic with the people that I talk to. I love to just kind of joke with people and just, if people, want to make jokes with me, I'll kind of give it back to them. Basically, okay. I always ask people what their name is, and I involve a ton of people in the audience. So I asked this lady, I say, "Oh, what is your name?" And she says, "Cameron." And in my mind, and she's blonde, I think, wouldn't that be funny if that was Cameron Diaz? Like that, that's like her name. And then I thought, no, Aaron, focus on your show. Get back to what you're doing. Because magicians, we're always thinking. So I think to myself, that would be really funny. And I'm just messing with her, super sarcastic, all this kind of stuff. And then about 2 days later, I get a text from one of my buddies, and he goes, "Hey, by the way, on Saturday, we performed for Cameron Diaz." And I went, "No way." I was like, I totally had a thought of maybe that was her and I had no idea. And the thing is, celebrities are really cool. In fact, recently another celebrity I performed for was Elizabeth Rom, I believe is her last name.
I'm not sure who she is.
I believe she's done a lot of Law and Order, and I think she's done some crime shows. But it's really cool because they don't seem like celebrities. In fact, I didn't know who she was either. I swear I don't know that many celebrities. I should though, because I'm near LA. But after the show, she came up and said, "Hey, that was so great. I really enjoyed it." And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." And I started talking with her and her friend. I said, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm an actress." And I go, "Oh," I said, "Should I know who you are?" And she goes, "No." She goes, "I'm a little older than you are, so maybe not." And I went, "Okay." I said, "What's your name? What have you been in?" And she said, "Oh," and I went, "Oh, okay." I said, "Honestly, I've never heard of you." I said, "I bet my parents have." And then when I got home, I told my parents, "Oh yeah, we know who she is." But it's cool because celebrities don't, they don't treat, a lot of them that go there that are very down to earth, they don't treat you like you're this peasant to them. In fact, another one really quick that I got to perform for was Pete Wentz of Fall Out Boy. And
Okay.
he was the nicest guy ever. His kids came up and said, "Hey, we really enjoyed the show," and he came up and said that. And it's just it's cool getting to meet celebrities and talk with them like they're just your friends, which is super super cool.
Yeah, yeah, that is really cool, man. And especially like when you aren't like fanboying over them and stuff like
Yeah,
that. They treat you a lot different as well. They treat you like, a person to person connection instead of like, oh, that's a fan just wanting to get an autograph.
right. And that's kind of where I'm actually happy that I don't know a lot of celebrities because I always yeah, I use the line of, "Oh, should I know who you are?" And I used it on so many people. And then when they say, "Oh yeah," or "Oh no," even if I should, to them it doesn't feel like I'm there just to talk to them because of who they are. It just genuinely seems like I'm very interested in who they are and what they do. And to me, that's important to me because I like to be extremely genuine, and I am genuine because I really don't know. um, but it's so cool, yeah, that they don't, I don't know. I don't know. Like there are certain people. Actually, it's funny. I probably would fanboy way more over a magician than I would over a celebrity. Actually,
Okay, fair enough. It's the industry thing. You'd be like, oh my God,
yeah,
I've been watching you make things disappear my whole life.
right. Meeting David Copperfield was definitely an experience. Let me tell you. Very very interesting, I shall say.
With your line that you use,
Yeah.
and we'll get back to David Copperfield in a minute. I want to know more about that.
Okay.
But with your line that you use, like, should I know you, or what, or should I know who you are? Does anybody ever get like offended by that? Are they like, you don't know who I am?
You know what? I have yet to have that. It hasn't been something that I've used a lot. Just a lot of events that I've been doing recently, like a event I did at the LA Zoo where there were a ton of celebrities there. I just kind of started using it because I just said, I don't know who these people are. But now, sorry, I'm gonna go back. No, to answer your question, I really haven't had anyone really be too upset about it or anything. I've actually never had anybody be upset at all. In fact, they almost seem to find it very amusing. It seems to be, they actually kind of enjoy it because then they kind of get to just be this like mysterious person too, which is funny because then it's a game of like, okay, well, I better figure out who they are.
Play a game
So,
of 20 questions with them or whatever.
yeah, and the cool thing is too, it's not for me as well. It's not that I'm in a point where I'm not. I mean, I'm not hugely well known. Obviously, like if people look up my name, if they look up Aaron O'Brien Magician, you're gonna find some stuff. But that's because of the marketing and kind of the way I've try to set up my internet, which I would love to talk about and give some advice about as well. But I'm not this huge. I'm not don't have millions of followers and things like that. But it's cool. Magic is just a thing that is so different in our world that kind of just breaks the ice with people and really just get to know people, and
Yeah.
they don't think of you like a fan. They think of you like, oh, this is like a performer. This is because a lot of celebrities are friends with a lot of famous magicians and not famous magicians. Just because it's like it's cool to know. People will think it's cool to know a magician. And I'm like, heck yeah, it is. Like, of course.
I am for that movement.
Right. I stand.
All right, all right. So I do want to talk about your style of comedy
Yeah.
in just a minute, but I did say we would go back to your meeting of probably one of the most famous magicians ever.
Yeah, he is the most famous magician right now. He's got a net worth of, sorry, David, $800 million right now.
Oh, that's
Um,
it? No.
Yeah, he owns his own private island, which is another story off air that we'll talk about. But so I was in Vegas for a magic convention. They have a magic convention called Magic Live, and it's the biggest magic convention I think of the year. And his producer, whose name is Chris Kenner. Chris is not only an amazing magician, an amazing consultant, an amazing businessman. He's a nice guy. He loves young magic, which is super cool. He loves young magicians. He throws a huge party every year at his house, and I should say house. It's more like a mansion. I mean, this guy, he has a secret room where like he has the Dark Knight suit from the movie displayed. You push a little side door, and it revolves into this amazing room that has Yoda, Captain America's shield from the movie, the Millennium Falcon,
That's
the
sick.
Indiana Jones idol, and the pedestal in the room. It's like cemented in. It's the most amazing house I've ever seen. I mean, he has so much memorabilia. So he throws this huge party during the convention, and he invites about, I would say, 300 people. Typically about 700 show up because everybody finds out about it. And last year they actually had to have like somebody checking wristbands. But needless to say, it's like the biggest part of the year. Everybody looks forward to it, and it's supposed to be invite only. But so Chris gives a lot of the young magicians an invite. So I got an invite, and I got to meet David Copperfield, and because Chris is his producer, so we got to meet him. And I mean, the interaction was very brief. It was, hey, may I take a picture?
Very cool.
He does a lot of good. He's always donating stuff, taking care of it. He has an amazing museum. He's always buying older magicians' props and keeping them for generations to see, which is one thing that I absolutely love about David. I think that's just a fantastic thing he's doing because he's really preserving our art. And our art is a dying art, but it's gotten a huge resurgence in the past few years, actually. It's gotten TV. They've brought on so many magicians recently. There's Penn and Teller Fool Us, the TV show. There's Masters of Illusion. There's stuff on Ellen, America's Got Talent, all over. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience is how I would describe it.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
Yeah. Personally, I think he is a huge inspiration to each and every one of us, and I thank him for everything he's done. Absolutely.
All right. Awesome, man. So let's talk about you right now. We gave David Copperfield his plug. Let's talk about your stand-up. Let's talk about your magic show for a while. The reason I said stand-up right there is because from the sounds of it, you do a lot of crowd work, like being sarcastic with Cameron Diaz. And my mouth got ahead of where my brain was and just started spitting stuff out. So do you do like a hybrid of magic comedy, or what's your gig, man?
Yeah, I love comedy. I'm always listening to comedians all the time. Shout out to Jim Gaffigan. Brian Regan's got to be my favorite. If I want something that's a little edgy, maybe some Tom Segura, Gabriel Iglesias. Love all those guys. They're fantastic guys. So I love mixing magic and comedy together because I'll tell you why. I think that it's so cool when somebody goes to a magic show, and this is an experience I had personally at the Magic Castle. I went to a magic show, and the magic was amazing. It was so good. But then he was funny. And it was like, he's not just good at magic, but he's also hilarious, which is like you don't expect them to be so funny. You expect to see really high-quality magic, and it just makes the show so much more entertaining and so much fun. And for me as a performer, I love to mix comedy and magic together because it always keeps it fresh for me. I will tell you, I've never had a similar show ever. I've never had a show be the same because the responses that you get from audience members, your responses to your jokes, to your bits, to your gags, things like that, they're always going to be different. You never know what somebody's going to say, especially children, which I don't do a lot of work with children. Every now and again, I do family shows, like theater stuff. But
okay,
you never know what people will say. And that's what I love about it because it always keeps me on my toes too. I never get bored. I never have, it's not, for me, it's not a 9-to-5 job. I do work a lot on the computer, sending emails, contracts, invoices, things like that. But it's always different. It's always changing. It gives me the chance to be creative with my comedy, with my magic, because now instead of me reacting to what everybody does every time, I get to react to something new every single time, and it's always keeping me thinking, so I never get bored. I just absolutely love it.
That's awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I just absolutely adore it, and I do, every show depends. I would say a lot of my work right now has been in the corporate market performing for corporations, and that's a blast. It's some of the hardest work I've ever done. I've learned so much from those shows because of how intricate and how different certain organizations and companies can be, and learning to be flexible. I think that in the entertainment industry, and this goes for all fields of entertainment, being flexible is probably one of the most important things because people will respect you, people will like you, and being liked is so important in our industry because if people don't like you, you don't work. And I think that's just a tip I would give to people is be flexible, be okay with things changing. Now, in circumstances like in corporate, know your stuff though, because I run into issues where I've been in shows where it's just like a Three sides are seated, and then there's a dance floor in the middle. And at Magicians, we call it the dance floor of death, because all the magic, all the gas, everything gets sucked into that middle dance floor. And so I've had event planners or people that I've worked with, and they said, "Hey, can you work with this?" And I said, in the email and phone calls we talked about moving the chair. And so literally I just say, "All right, everybody." And usually the event planner or DJ, whoever does this, they just say, "Okay, grab your chairs," and everybody grabs their chairs and they just move onto the dance floor and set it up like theater style. So, you have to be flexible, you have to adapt, but you also have to make sure that the person in charge understands. Because for me personally, at the end of the day, the event planner is not going to remember me saying, "Hey, we got to move those chairs." They're going to remember it was either a great show or it was a terrible show.
Yeah.
And that, to them, that's all they care about. So you have to be very, very cautious of that, making sure that it's good, but also making sure you don't look like a jerk.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. And, it's the same way whether you're doing stand-up comedy or I'm assuming magic, because you're going to have distractions going on sometimes. So, yeah, you do have to work with those event planners and, make sure, everything is set up kind of right for your show to give you the best opportunity to perform.
Yeah.
But has there been just a nightmare show, that either the environment's all wrong or just stuff went completely wrong altogether?
Yes. I, a little bit earlier in my career, like how I say earlier, I'm only 19, but,
hey man, you've already been doing it for what, 6 years?
Yeah. Well, a little, earlier in my career, I didn't, always set up things and didn't always get all the information. So I'm doing this house party. It's for a kids party. Some of the stuff I started out with.
Whoa.
Thank God.
Hold up. Go ahead and start over from doing this kid's party or whatever. It just it sounded like you hit the mic or something like that, or
if you want to ask a question, just or do you want me to go into my answer?
Yeah, just go into your answer. That's just where it started going.
Perfect. Yeah, so I have had some not necessarily a horror story, but pretty bad work environment that I had to work in. It was pretty earlier in my career when I was doing more kids parties, which luckily I don't do many anymore.
I can imagine.
Yeah, they can be nightmare. So I'm doing this show, and it's a referral of a business person that I worked with, and they had said, "Oh, we have this, kids party at our house. It's going to be outside. The kids will be having fun, stuff like that." Definitely should have found out why it was going to be outside and all that kind of stuff, because I get there, and it is a pool party. So it's all soaking wet in the pool, running around in the jacuzzi. So I get my stuff all set up, and I think, okay, there's a nice little grassy area. We'll get all the kids to sit on a towel and sit on the grass, because I like to involve them in my show, have fun with them.
Of course.
The mom decided we're not going to do that. The mom decided to ask the kids what they wanted to do, because the kids were in the jacuzzi. And she said, can you perform for them? I said, yeah, let's, get them on the grass and stuff. So she goes up to the kids and she goes, "Oh, you guys want to come out of the pool, sit on the grass for the magic show, or do you want to stay in the jacuzzi?" And of course, all the kids said, "Well, we'll stay in the jacuzzi." So the birthday boy and his sister come out of the jacuzzi and are on the grass, and the rest of the kids are in the jacuzzi during the show. And it's like, how in the heck do you perform for kids in a jacuzzi?
Yeah, no kidding.
It's terrible. So I'm trying to be audience interactive, and I literally can only use 2 people because the kids were the only 2 there. And then I got this older kid in the pool who thinks he's super funny, so he's trying to tell everyone how it's done, and this kid has no idea. I mean, I wasn't amazing at this time, but he has no idea what he's talking about, and he's making up these ideas, and I'm trying to keep him quiet, but he doesn't want to be quiet. And the parents, parents nowadays, they don't care. They just let their kids go. So it was terrible. I mean, literally, like I say, I had to perform magic for kids in a jacuzzi. And it's probably one of the hard, and because my show is interactive and likes to get, it was probably one of the weirdest shows I've ever done, I think. And
was that your first heckler?
No. definitely, probably first heckler would actually probably be at the Magic Castle. Now I like to shut hecklers down very, very quickly. I typically have a line, I have a go-to line. If I get somebody that's just being obnoxious, I'll look at them and go, "Thank you so much, sir, but this is my show," and which gets a laugh typically, and it sometimes gets a round of applause, which is kind of fun, and it kind of lets them know that hey, it's okay because I like to have audience interaction and involvement. I like them to be loud. I like them to be energetic. I like them to throw things out. But it also shows them that, hey, he's in control, and if there's a problem, he'll take care of it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword where it takes care of two things at the same time, and I love that. Or it's also a sense of likability when you're a likable person. And this is something that I'm always working on. I'm always striving to do in my industry is just be so likable to the audience, because if you're likable and a heckler starts yakking, his friends or people on the show will go, "Hey, shut up!" They'll shut down very, very quickly because they're like, "Hey, let him get on with it. Let him do what he wants." But I usually feed off the hecklers, and if they're making jokes, I'll give it right back to them. And sometimes they'll come back, and then I'll give it to them again, or sometimes they'll just go, "Oh, okay." But it shows them that, hey, this isn't a movie. This is live theater. I break down that fourth wall extremely quickly when I perform. I like to the very first thing that I'm doing in my show is I immediately say, "Hey, sir, name a card," or "Hey, ma'am, please name a card." I get into it really quickly because I want them to know this is an interactive, this is a fun show. We're all in this together. And to me, that's so important because it's not just, "Oh, I'm doing magic tricks and you're watching." It's this experience that I want each and every person to have together.
Very cool. A nice hands-on crowd
absolutely.
involvement and all that good stuff right there. So, yeah, it sounds like your comedy style comes out a little bit when you're dealing with the heckler.
Yeah.
So a little stand-up going. Did you ever have aspirations to do stand-up comedy?
Great question. No, I didn't. I've always loved comedy, though. I would say the very first comedian that I really got into was Brian Regan, and he's still by far my favorite comedian. Brian, I know you may not be listening to this, but if you ever do, Brian, I love you, and let's do magic together. But I've never really gotten into the stand-up comedy world. I have worked some open mics where stand-up comedy has been there, but I've done magic and comedy. And the cool thing about that is it's a heck of a lot easier because if your jokes don't land, you still have the magic. For stand-up, if your jokes don't land, you got nothing.
Yeah, I hear that. But you know what? It's kind of interesting because comedy and magic kind of go together. Do you know who Chris Hardwick is? Comedian. He hosts like Talking Dead, like after The Walking Dead, and has a show. It was Nerdist, now ID10T. Well, either way, he's a stand-up comedian as well. And he was talking about how comedy is a lot like magic when they were comparing that to like music. People can listen to a song over and over and over again and be like, "I love this song." But once like a comedian tells a joke, somebody hears the punchline, it's kind of like a magic trick. Once that trick has been done, once it's been seen, it loses some of its like wow effect, So
Absolutely.
they're very similar in ways.
It's true. And one of the things, there was a magician by the name of Joshua Jay, and he did a study upon audience reactions to magic. And the number one thing that an audience wants to see is the aspect of surprise, whether that be in any form, any way, a joke, a bit, a trick, an illusion, whatever it is, they want to be surprised. And you're absolutely right. With comedy, you lose that punchline, that surprise. In magic, you lose that wow moment, And as a magical lover, because I love magic, it's different for me because I can really appreciate the skill and the things of that nature. But you're absolutely right. It definitely has that surprise, and that's why I'm always creating, always working on new things myself.
Right on, man. Right on. I'd love to catch a live show of yours here sometime.
Absolutely.
If I get down to LA, get me into the Magic Castle. I'll dress up all nice and like, I might even comb my hair. But like, I guess you've been doing this, since you were 12, 13 years old. So
Yeah.
what advice would you have for somebody who is looking to get started doing doing magic?
Don't. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't do it. You don't want the competition. That's it.
You know, that's funny you bring that up. Competition right now is actually not a huge thing. It is in certain industries, like I would say in the Vegas scene, there is a huge amount of competition because it's so dense out there. But we always talk about pie in the sky, where there's actually so much work. There are so many events going on that a magician could be at that they're not at. So I think that there is a huge opportunity for work. So advice to magicians. The number one piece of advice I would give is read books. You know, I try to read as many books as I possibly can on magic, in theory, on tricks, on performance, on scripting, all those kinds of things. I'm always working on it. So books offer something very unique, and it forces certain parts of your brain to work in certain ways, where as video, you're used to being on your phone, looking at social media, watching Netflix, you know, scrolling through Facebook, whatever it may be. Using your brain to read uses a different sense of your brain. And also because you can't visually see it, sometimes the way that it's worded can be confusing, which forces your brain to fill in pieces, which actually helps you be more creative and to create more yourself. Another piece of advice I would give to magicians is, if you want to be a magician, get an act, make it good, and then go perform it. Go have places to go be bad. One of the greatest things I ever did was going to perform in a restaurant free of charge, because I wanted to get in, I wanted to practice, I wanted to get more experience, and it got me clients, it got me good experience, it got me polished. Just get out and go do as many shows as you possibly can. And when you're starting, don't worry about the money. Later on, worry about the money, worry about the business. That's the other thing. There's so many starving artists, and it makes me so sad, because it's like there's so many people that have this amazing talent that have no sense of business. And I love business. I'm a business major right now in college. And you have to have business in this industry and in any industry to be successful. It's a huge part, and you really can't do it without a sense of business. So that was like 3 answers to one, but
no, that's good, man. Those were all great pieces of advice, and maybe I need to tap your mind about the business knowledge a little bit at some point, whether it's on the podcast or after the podcast. That was a great answer there. So what are you currently doing to promote yourself, Mr. Businessman?
Yeah, well, I will tell you one of the greatest secrets that I have found, and it is a free secret. It is called Google Business Page. It's great for what industries you are in. It is a free tool. So essentially, one of the things that people don't know is that when Google is going through its search results in Search Well, they typically want to go for things that are already set on Google.
Okay.
So by having a Google Plus page and having a Google Business page, your SEO, your search engine optimization on Google, is going to be significantly higher because you're already plugged into Google's system. So if you go on and you look up how to set up a Google Business page, what you do is you input all your information, you set up hours that you work, that you're open. This can be a literal shop, like if you're selling cupcakes or whatever you're doing, or if it's a service like me, you can put in hours. I just put 24/7 because I want my customers to know I'm there for them any time of the day. And you put up, you can get reviews on there. So if you can ask previous clients to put reviews. You can put up deals. You update it once a week. You can put up a new post, and so that helps people see it. And I've had it for maybe a few months, maybe 3-4 months, and I've gotten 2 really high-paying gigs out of it. And for me, it's worth it. It's free, yeah. Because what they did is literally, because of what it also attaches to what area you're in. So you're going to get work in your area, which is great. So I have a guy who lives in Simi. He typed in magician, clicked enter, and I was one of the first 2 or 3 that came up. And he lives about maybe 16, 17 miles from me, and there's a lot of guys in between. But I had good ratings. He liked how professional mine looked. So for instance, if you are an event planner, if they type in event planner on Google, you might come up first. So then they can click on your website, and it is amazing how it works. Like, people in Thousand Oaks, which is the area that I live in, they type in magician, I'm the first one that comes up. So it's a great tool. It's free, and one of the things is I recommend just set up everything, all the questions that it has on there, just fill out everything, because the more information you give, the better, and then consistently update it. But it takes 5 minutes to update. It's so easy. So.
That is awesome, man. I'm going to have to go do that as soon as this is over.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm here to help and answer any question, especially, if you're a young magician and you want to know something, we'll talk about ways to reach me later, but I would love to help out anybody, answer questions, send emails, have a phone call, Skype conversation, because that's how I got my start. Other people helped me out. So I'm in this for everybody,
I like it, man. I like it. That's a great attitude to have. So, all right. So that was some great advice on promoting yourself. As I said, as I told you earlier, sometimes I take some advice from my guests and apply it to my podcast, and this may be one of those pieces for sure. So, do you have any more promotional tips since that one was so good, or? If not, that's all right. I can pretend I didn't ask this question.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many opportunities. One things that I love to do is networking. So when I'm at an event, I get there early, and not just to set up, but I also want to meet the staff. Okay. If I'm working at a hotel, I want to meet their activities or events person. I want to know who's arranging these events, because that might be somebody I want to go talk to and might be able to book some work with. If even the staff that's there cleaning the dishes or whatever, I try to go perform for them, because I want them to know that I'm not just here for the guests, but I'm also there to hang out with them. And then if I have problems or if I need something and I feel awkward asking, I know that they already like me and they trust me, so I can go ask them for that. And then the other thing with that is stay after the event. This is a lot of stuff for like services and stuff, but really can be applied to any industry, I believe. Is I like to stay after the events, and I like to just talk with people and be personable. Get outside of your comfort zone. Don't do what's comfortable, because when you do what's comfortable, it's too easy. When you go force yourself into conversation, obviously be smart about this, please. But try and insert yourselves in conversations, or even in your work. Try to do things of that nature, because those are going to be the people that are going to hire you. I always say, my goal, if I perform at a gig, is get 2 or 3 more people to hire me, because it becomes a tree. You start off with one person to hire you, then 2 or 3 people from their event hire you, and those 2 or 3 people have events, and then 2 or 3 people from their event, and your numbers grow rapidly. And, not every event's going to be like that. Some events you may get nobody. Some events you may get 10 people. It's just going to depend, but be likable, be flexible. I think it's just so important to be, I got to tell you, being a nice guy is so key to the entertainment industry, I believe, because when you're just a nice person, people want to work with you. People want to help you. People want to do things for you. And then lastly, in terms of networking, there are free networking meetings around. There is a great app called, let me pull it up on my phone. Give me 10 seconds. The app is called Meetup, and It has all kinds of events. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. There's a bunch of mixers in different parts of the entertainment industry, and typically they want different people in different industries, and you all work together to help each other by either getting business cards that you will pass around from outside vendors, things like that, or even event planners that you might talk to, or just you kind of tell people what you're looking for, and if they have a contact, they'll help you, and then if you have a contact to help them, you help them. So it's a great, great way to get talking about your business. And do your research, check if they're free. There's a ton of free mixers you can go to, and I have booked 2 or 3 shows actually from mixers that I just randomly went to. I wanted to stand out, and because I'm young, so I went in wearing a suit, and everybody else is in, jeans and a button-up shirt or slacks, whatever. But I'm wearing a full-on suit because I want to say, I'm here to do business. I'm not here to mess around. I'm not here to joke around. I'm here to get things done and get business. And that to them is going to show a idea of professionalism, and get every single person's business card. And if you find out something personal about them, write it down on the business card. Because when you send them an email, don't send them a generic email. You're going to send them, hey, Aaron, it was so great meeting you. I hope your daughter's birthday on Friday goes excellent. I just had a blast meeting you, things like that. Write down these notes. I had a client I sent an email to just to kind of touch base and see, maybe if they had some events going on. And I in an previous email that I had, a word that she thought of that I told her what she was thinking of. I included that in the email, and she emailed back saying, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if you have amazing notes or an amazing memory, all this," but she went, "That's just, you blew my mind." And then I went out of my way to, help her and, just be a nice person.
Right on, man. Right on. That is a lot of good advice right there. You can always rewind the podcast if you want to take notes on it. But I do have a couple more questions for you, man. And then we'll get the show wrapped up here. So, what is a highlight or two that you would care to share?
Yeah, let's see. Probably one of my proudest moments that I got to do was performing at the Ronald Reagan Library for their docents for their annual Christmas party. It was just a blast. There were about 300 docents there, and the Ronald Reagan Library hired me to come in and come perform. And that was cool because I was one of the first magicians to ever perform there. And my grandfather is actually a docent, so he said that he thinks that I was at that time the only magician to ever perform there, which was super, super cool. Another quick highlight.
What is it? Real quick first, what is a docent? I'm out of the loop.
Oh, no, that's okay. It's basically it's a volunteer that volunteers their time to give tours and kind of workstations at the library. So they make sure, kids aren't running over things, checking out things. So they do like once a week, or depending on their schedules, they just kind of donate their time to help out the library. It's just something that they're excited about, something that they like. It's really, really cool.
All right, man. Sounds good. I didn't know if it was like the Shriners or the Elk Club and they wear funny hats and stuff like that, but
yeah, no.
All right, cool. So what was your second highlight, real quick?
Second highlight. Oh goodness, it's either probably becoming a member at the Magic Castle 13, which we talked about. That was just, I can't tell you how blessed I was to be able to do that. And let me tell you actually a little bit about the first time I ever performed at the Magic Castle. I would say that's the second highlight.
All right.
The first time that I ever performed in the Magic Castle, I was not actually planning on performing there. We had a monthly meeting where the program that I was in, we met to workshop magic, to talk about magic. And this is a program of the juniors where we work together and we have library time where we read and workshop things and talk with each other, eat food, things like that. So I'd already auditioned my act before, and I was there to kind of do like a checkup, just make sure things were good, and then they would approve me to go perform for a brunch. So I get there, and the manager comes downstairs, and he says, "Oh my gosh, our guy canceled today. We don't have anybody." And the director of the junior program was there, and so I went up to him and I said, "Bob, what do you think? Can I have all my stuff? Can I go do brunch?" And he went, "Sure." So I went upstairs and I got to go perform. And our manager upstairs, she is just the sweetest lady ever, Kate. She's so kind. She's like a mom to me. We call her all the juniors. We call her our Magic Castle mom.
Okay.
All the juniors. But she would tell everybody that came to the show, this is his first time debuting at the Magic Castle, and she just builds it up, But it was probably the coolest experience of my life, just being able to go home to my parents, and they say, "Hey, how was the meeting?" I said, "You wouldn't believe it. I performed it today." And they went, "What? We wanted to be there." And I went, "I'm sorry, I didn't know." I got to do close-up magic for that day and do like 20-minute shows. And to be honest, it was probably I think it might have been my first paid show, which is actually kind of crazy that my first paid show was at the Magic Castle. And that was the first job I ever had, and I believe it will be the last job that I ever have is doing magic. I love it. This is my career. I have, if you can't tell already, I have a huge passion for this. This is just a love of mine.
Not at all, man. Not at all. You don't seem passionate at all about magic.
I hate it. No. And I mean, Aaron, I would talk about this for hours and hours. It's a love of mine. So performing at the Magic Castle for the first time was probably one of the coolest moments of my life.
I can imagine, man, going from, I'm doing a meeting to maybe I might perform to, dude, I can perform tonight. Taking advantage of that opportunity, man. That's what it's about.
Absolutely.
So when you do perform on stage, or whether it's at the Magic Castle, a corporate event, to kids in a jacuzzi, what do you want your audience to take away and remember about your performance?
That's a great question. I think there's a few things. One of the most important things to me is I want them to come away and say, that's a guy that I'd love to go hang out with. If I was of age, I would want them to say, let's go get a beer. I
Let's
want
go get a
them
root beer.
Yeah, root beer. There we go. I want them to feel like they've gotten to know me. I want them to feel like that I'm almost a part of their family, and that they've just hung out, relaxed, and just had a really fun, really entertaining show with somebody that they would go hang out with, they would invite over to their house. And that's why I always, my favorite shows, they don't always pay the best, but my favorite shows are the house parties. I come, and basically what that is, just, if it's somebody's birthday, or like an adult birthday, or a, anniversary, or just a summer party. I just get so energized by those, because I get to tell those people about me and my story and who I am. And it gets me so fired up. So I just want the audience always to take away that, hey, that was a nice, fun guy. It's kind of funny. I want different people to think different things. So for instance, if it's a kid, I want them to think, I want to be like him one day. If it's a guy that's my age, I want them to think, hey, that's a guy I'd like to be friends with. If it's a girl my age, I want her to think, hey, I'd want to go on a date with that guy. If it's a parent, I want them to think, wow, he's a great kid. He would be a great friend of my son, or I would love for that to be my son. Or, somebody who's grandfather's age or something, I would love that to be my grandson. Wow, he's just such a nice, kind young man. I want them to take away that I'm human. That's the thing. And I'm just there to have fun with them. I'm there to entertain them. Most importantly, make sure they have a great time. And I think that personally, I think if you are in the entertainment industry, that's what you should be about. I think you should just be about simply entertaining people and, making them just have a great time and connect to you. And that's what I would say.
New slogan for you, Aaron O'Brien, magician and son you never had.
Put on my website right now.
Yeah, go change that. You can use that. I won't even charge you for marketing purposes.
I appreciate that.
All right, man. It's been fun. I have one more question for you.
Absolutely.
But before we get to there, where can people find you? If they want to hire you for a gig, where can they go? If they want to see you perform, how can they do that? And if they want to pass to the Magic Castle, what's the magic word?
Well, hey, great question. One of the best way to contact me is if you just go to my website, which is AaronO'BrienMagic.com, which is simply, real quick, just run through it, AaronO'BrienMagic.com. That you can check out my events and things that I'm up to, things that I'm doing. You can kind of find out just everything about me. And there's my email's on there, which is just Aaron@AaronO'BrienMagic.com. Literally, I shouldn't tell you this, but my phone number's on there. So if you just want to talk, let me know. But yeah, that's a good way. And then if you want to
be careful with that, man. Be careful with that.
Well, luckily it's just corporate. No. Social media is just Aaron O'Brien Magic. On Facebook, just Aaron O'Brien Magician. Literally, if you just type in my name and magic or magician, you'll find me. And if you want to hire me for a gig, let me know that you came from this podcast, and I will give you a good deal because of Aaron. I'll get you a good deal. Or if you want to go to the Magic Castle, or you just want to hit me up, you have some questions, business, just want to hang out, let me know. I would love to talk to anybody and everybody. Feel free to reach out.
All right, there you go, being that nice guy again. All right, man. I have that one final question for you. It's the title question of the show. Aaron O'Brien, how do you live uncontained?
Aaron, I live uncontained by working very, very hard in what I do. And I get a lot of people that question me because of my age, because of how young I am, saying, you're not professional, you're not doing this. And I just say, hey, you know what? I've put in the time, I've put in the effort, I've put in the hard work, I've put in all the hard work, all the things that I've needed to do, and I live uncontained because magic is my passion, magic is my love, and there's nothing else I'd rather be doing in life.
Hell yeah, man. That says it all right there, man. So, with that passion, I'm glad you came on the show tonight, man. It
Thank
was
you so
great
much.
talking to you. Seeing your passion for magic and performing's really cool, and then sharing some great advice with the Uncontained audience that I'm
Absolutely.
gonna take advantage of myself. So, I have one final thing for you to do
Yeah.
before we get out of here, and that is sign off the show. Will you do me the honor of signing off the show tonight, Aaron?
Aaron, I will absolutely do you the honor. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. It has been real. Really, just go be that nice person, go kick some butt, and hire me for your next event. I'm Aaron O'Brien, and I live uncontained.
And that does it for another episode of Uncontained. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Aaron O'Brien for joining me and sharing his story along with some great advice for people who are looking to go from the starving artist to the thriving artist. And yeah, please make sure you contact him on the social media. His links are going to be in the show notes. And also, you can find those show notes at uncontainedpod.com. There's a tab at the top of the page that will take you directly to them. And thanks again for listening. And until next time, live uncontained.